If you're a golf lover, join in on fun discussions about golf from the perspective of two plugged-in Minnesota golf geeks, Brad Cole and David Branstad. This is 10,000 Swings.
Hello and welcome back to 10,000 Swings. It is Monday, July 26, 2021. I'm Brad Cole.
I'm David Branstad.
10,000 Swings is brought to you by Jarrett Yalen with Northwestern Mutual. For whatever financial questions you have, call Jarrett with Northwestern Mutual today. 612-209-4523 or visit his website at jarrettyalen.com. He can do retirement planning, life insurance, been known to hit a few bombs off the tee in some scrambles, and actually he can also help you purchase the right gear from a merchandise tent. But most importantly, finance is really his jam. So give him a call. He'll help you out with money. He's an awesome guy. Give Jared a call today. We've got a great show this week that might include the 3M Open, the Olympics, and the Minnesota State Am.
But on our show tonight is special guest, the one and only Adam Chandler, head golf professional at TPC Twin Cities, which just hosted the 3M Open. Adam, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm an avid listener, excited to talk all things 3M Open golf, and I'm sure a few more things.
So as you guys could probably understand, the head golf professional during a tour event has a range of responsibilities, which Adam killed throughout the entire week. But one of his, which was pretty cool to do, which I think anyone would be honored to have this opportunity, he was the honorary starter on hole 1 on Saturday, and he absolutely rocked it. Like, to the point where he'd go ask players how to pronounce their names if he didn't know, cities they were from if he didn't know how to pronounce it. He even asked if it was okay if he could announce Troy Merritt from Spring Lake Park, Minnesota, not, I believe he's listed as from Idaho, which is a super big veteran play. However, I am super excited that I stuck around to watch the first group for his rookie play. I can take it from here. Adam, do you want to take it from here and kind of explain what happened?
Yeah, no, happy to talk about it. So like David said, lots of responsibility this week. Had a great week. Was fortunate enough to get asked by the PGA Tour to start Saturday off the first tee, which can never say no to that. So had my starter sheet, went out there with the rules official. I had asked David, I'm like, hey, can you give me a ride out there and just kind of be my go-to guy? If I need a water or something, just go grab it for me, or a banana or something throughout the day. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's buzz out there. So we buzz out there, 15 minutes before the first tee time so I can make sure I got everything ready to go. Got my notes, meet with the rules official, like I said, kind of go through what, the expectations are. And as the first group starts to approach, hand them their things. And I look up there and Matthew Wolf's on the first group. And I think it was Matthew Wolf, Brant Snedeker, and someone else. Don't quote. I can't remember who the other two were.
Denny McCarthy.
Denny McCarthy. Was it Brant Snedeker?
Yeah.
The other one? Okay, so Sneds was there, and little Denny McCarthy, just a little guy, but man, he bombs it. So anyways, get out there, and we're waiting for the clock to tick at the time, and it clicks, and I think it was McCarthy, Snedeker, or vice versa, or whatever, and then Matthew Wolf was third. And so I'm going through my list, announcing them, from blah, 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 Tennessee, Brant Snedeker, get to Matthew Wolf, and I got his city correct, which was a little bit of a tongue twister. And as I'm saying it, from blah, 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 California, Matthew. And as soon as I start to say Matthew, my head goes, shoot, he's the 2019 3M Open champion. And I'm in my head's spinning as I'm saying Matthew. Like, how am I going to get 2019 3M Open champion in this as I'm saying his name? And I just go, Matthew Wolf. And the crowd cheers. And as soon as I finish, I look back at David, who's behind me. And I'm like, I give him the raised eyebrow. And he gives me the, yeah, you definitely botched that one. So luckily for me, Matthew bombed a drive off number 1, just absolutely creased one. And I think he played a pretty good third round, 1 or 2 under, couple under, put himself kind of slightly in contention on Sunday. Obviously didn't have a great, finish on Sunday, but that was my first group on Saturday there, which was which was exciting. I got that one out of the way, and was fortunate enough to kind of do the rest without a hiccup.
It could have been so much worse, though. Like, I thought Brandy was just kind of like you said, you called him Marty, like Marty McFly, or you know, something like that, or Matt, you know, and his mom's like, only I can call him Matt, you know. Like, I thought it was going to be way worse. And it's funny you say that about Wolf, because when we were on hole number 2, my 2-year-old and our buddy Speltz, his 2-year-old, we had our kids positioned between the number 2 green and number 9 tee box, so approximately 75 yards away from the players. And our boys were loud enough, actually, when Wolf was about to hit his par putt, that he gave our boys, specifically my child, the stare down. So I was officially that dad. So I knew he was on edge about something, and it was clearly he was on edge about the fact that someone did acknowledge his 2019 championship. So, you know, Adam, clearly you and I were working as Stockton to Malone on that one, and just ruining both of our days at the same time.
Well, I gave Brandy a little jab later. I'm like, where were you on that one? Like, hey, come up to me like, hey, don't forget, like, you need to let the crowd know he's the 2019 champion. Like, that would have been, where were you on that one, Brandy?
Okay, so then to be fair, okay, I'll take that. I drive immediately over to hole 10, where Chris Weinhold, our GM and director of golf, is starting. And I go tell him what just happened, and he shows me his sheet, because he's got last year's champion on the list,
Michael Thompson.
And Michael Thompson, right next to his name is 2020 3M Open champion.
Yeah,
which I believe later that was it. It was last night across the table. I think Weinhold screamed over it, "Hey Adam, what year did Wolfie win the 3M?"
Wow. Yeah, I'll probably wear that tag for the next year till I get my redemption next year, hopefully.
If that's the worst thing you did all week, I consider it to be a pretty good week. And, you know, Adam, if people are going to try to throw people under the bus for mistakes they made, you know, all I can say is that at least you and I didn't lose our kids this week. So
yeah, true.
I'd say it's a pretty good week for the Chandler and Cole households, and we're in a good spot. So that's funny. It's always fun to see people starting. I think we had Kelly Hoynes out on the 10th tee.
Yeah.
We had Tone Paluto from the section office out there. Really fun to see, you know, it is the Minnesota 3M Open, right? Like, it's truly got so much of our section and our people involved in it. And Adam, can you talk a little bit about how the merchandise tent went this week? So obviously in 2019, banner year, crazy busy, replens, etc. Last year, online only, essentially, you know, because we had no fans. How did it go this year? How was the transition? How did it go? I mean, I know in 2019 we were over fire code pretty much the entire time, and obviously now, you know, so we've learned about social distancing and a lot of things since then. So how did it go in the tent?
No, yeah. So like David said, lots of responsibility throughout the week. You know, for me and my team, one of them obviously is the fan shop merchandise tent throughout the entire week. So lots of planning, preparation goes into that. I kind of won't bore you with the details, but yeah. So we had a 50 by 50 tent. I don't think I would put it up as COVID safe, if you will. It was kind of a free for all. We kind of let people do their own thing, but we had a really great week in there. You know, our team spends a lot of time on property every day. You know, 6-8 days throughout that whole week, and just super proud of how they handled it and how they hung in there. But yeah, super successful. You know, we've got our core vendors that we work with the PGA Tour and all the TPC properties. So we were proud to support those guys and thankful for their support, you know, and sending some of their representatives to kind of restock, refill, and just be a support system for us. But like David was there, it was crazy busy. You know, I think for us, we would have loved to have seen more fans there. And I think as we continue to see the 3M Open grow and progress, we'll only continue to maximize and make that tent even bigger. You know, I was fortunate enough to be in Hazeltine in 2016 and kind of saw, you know, a ginormous experience, if you will, in terms of merchandise. So much smaller platform on that, but still, you know, our goal was just to provide an additional experience for those patrons coming out into the 3M Open, into TPC Twin Cities. So lots of great options, lots of great product. Glad it's over. It's a long 7-8 days in there, 12 hours a day. But really successful week for us.
Adam, let's touch base on those additional experiences we offered the customers that came into that fan shop this week. For anyone who's ever worked a merchandise tent, it's a little robotic at times, and it's just customer, golf shirt, and you've got to kind of find a way to have some fun with it. And I don't know we'll speak for Adam on this, but our TPC staff, we thoroughly thrive on having fun at what we do. And our golf shop coordinator, Michael Haas, took the merch tent experience to a new level this year. And Adam, feel free to chime in at any point on these.
Yeah.
He at one point turned, so we have 4 registers going at any given time, depending on how busy it is. He at one point turned his into an express lane for 2 items or less, so he didn't have to deal with the 8 shirt person. He went no glassware at one point because he didn't want to wrap any glass and take the time on that.
Yep.
He would randomly throw like 50 MasterCard sweepstake cards into someone's bag who was just buying a hat. But the one that kind of caught me off guard the most was a woman was buying a hat, and if someone buys a hat that they're not wearing, we always ask, are you going to wear that day? Because we'll take all the stuff off of it for them.
Yep.
And she comes up with the hat, and he asks, "Are you going to wear this today?" And she says, "Yes." And Haas, without skipping a beat, just says, "Do you want to keep the sticker on there like the cool kids do?"
So you have to know, okay. So you have to know Michael Haas, and for the listeners out there, you've all got that buddy in your group or that coworker that you work a lot with who's got the driest sense of humor ever, right? And that's Michael Haas to a T. So, like David was explaining, he's got the 2 items or less little thing on there, and he's on the first register where the first person comes, but he would just, give the wave over, like, go over to that register down there. I don't want to deal with you type of thing. And people are like, "Oh, okay, yeah, like I'll go down there." He's just, just trying to do something because it gets so mundane. Hour after hour, 5 shirts, glassware, it just gets mundane.
Yeah.
So he was spicing it up like no other. A lot of text messages obviously going on as we're doing this and we're taking breaks. But super fun. Like David said, you got to spice it up a little bit, and thank goodness Michael was there to kind of literally he put a roll of extra receipt paper in somebody's bag because the receipt paper that kicks out, it was running low, so he pops it out and he goes, "Watch this, I'm going to put this in this lady's bag." So he's ringing her up. "Hey, how's it going? Who are you going to watch today? Oh, it's a great day out there. Yeah, stay hydrated. It's going to be super hot. Do you want this in a bag?" "Yeah, okay." And he slides it in and he just throws the roll of receipt paper in there and gives it to her. And out she goes. And I'm like, dude, she's going to get home and be like, "Dude, that little kid put that receipt paper in my bag." So
Hey Brad, question for you. This is a hot topic this week. Have you ever seen a loon fly?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Like some half serious, half not.
Kind of a valid question, but yeah.
Have you? Because here's why I asked
No.
this. We had a great local company out this week called Waggle, and their shirts were flying off the shelf. And I think you probably even saw it the one day. They had a loon shirt. Loons always rest in water. You see them kind of dive. Like you take a boat towards them, they're always going to dive. And I had a guy up and he was buying this shirt, and it just kind of came to me like, I don't think I've ever seen a loon fly. And so it kind of became a polling question among customers that would come in, like, "Have you ever seen a loon fly?" And we did ask, I'll give another shout out to Tony Serpico. We did ask Tony Serpico if you've ever seen a loon fly, and he goes, "Yeah, I have. They fly really fast like a hummingbird."
Yeah.
Wow, you guys need to get out of that tent.
Brandy,
this
listen,
is like
there's not another group in the section that has more fun than we do at TPC Twin Cities.
No, that's awesome. No, you guys do have a really good cohesive unit there. A couple things I'd like to note. I've never seen a loon fly. I see them float and then I see them dive.
I've seen them fly.
You have. I have not.
Yes.
That's impressive. Yeah, no,
I've
I
seen
don't
loons
know
fly.
that I've ever seen it. So back to the merchandise tent. What was the one item that you're like, man, there's no way this is going to sell, and then it just flew out? Was there anything that you're like, because you always have that item that you're like, there's no way anyone's going to buy this, and then all of a sudden like everybody gets excited about it? Or what was like the unique item that everyone had to have that wasn't new? Like, obviously I come in for all the chalk, right? I'm a total chalk guy. Like I'm going Tervis, I'm going ball, I'm going, larger ball, all the different, like the standard, the Vegas had me pegged before I walked in the door, right?
Yeah, right.
But like,
right.
what's the like, the crazy pattern or the crazy whatever that all of a sudden you're like, I did not think that was going to sell and it sold? Or did all of it sit? Like, what was anything new and different that you guys think that was kind of like, whoa, I didn't see that coming?
Well, a couple things. First off, Waggle, which was the local company, was a bang-up job, and that kind of leads me into this story. I've been fortunate. You guys have been in this industry, the golf industry, for many years as well. I'm going on, almost 20 years. The basic, pinstripe or stripe or basic polo, which 10 years ago was everything and still sells really well. If you would have told me 10 years ago that the more hideous the polo is, the more it'll sell, it's crazy. So we did a little bit of walk. Once we set up the merchandise tent, we got in there kind of Saturday and Sunday, got everything kind of prepared. And once everything was out, all the vendor stuff was out and it was ready to go, we kind of did a walkthrough and okay, give us what you think will be a top seller and then what you think will be a dud. And I went over to Under Armour and picked out a polo because it was a good polo, but it was a little obnoxious in my opinion. And I'm like, I think that one's going to sit. It's not going to sit. Or it is going to sit. That one sold out by Friday. So mistake on my end. I was clearly wrong on that one. But the one item that was a dud that I guess I figured it was just going to go because it's Minnesota. Everybody drinks coffee in Minnesota. Were the coffee cups. The coffee cups did not go. And so I'm sitting there on Saturday, or no, it was Saturday night, and I'm like, dude, we got so many coffee cups. What are you gonna do? I told our merchandise coordinator, Taylor Nazarella, shout out to Taylor, and an awesome week she had this week. And Sunday morning I said, listen, here's what we're doing. I don't want to have those sit in inventory for the next year, so we're gonna put those at the countertop for $1. Like, we're gonna get rid of them. She's like, okay, if that's what you want to do. I'm like, it's fine. Just like, let's get them out of here. Don't even care. They were gone in less than an hour. For $1.
Probably could have sold them for $1.25, huh?
I'm probably shortchanged, Dick. Probably could have been $2. I probably cost the tent a few $100 of coffee mugs.
Funny.
But those were the two things. There was one shirt, like I said, which I thought was going to sit all week, and it was gone by Friday. And so clearly, as a 20-year golf professional, I still don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to merchandise.
I'll tell you the one item that I did not think would sell as well as it did, and Adam, I'll let you chime in on it, was trees.
So backstory on this. So they fly someone in from the tour who kind of helps us get everything settled and gets our point of sale set up and everything, and walks us through just everything up front, and then as it goes, they kind of get out of our way. And they're like, okay, so the tour is doing this thing through across every event where they're trying to, have a donation for trees, basically. So they want to, do their part for the environment, help grow trees and all that stuff. So you guys need to ask everybody as they come through, like, would you like to donate $2 to plant a tree for the PJ Tour Foundation, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, I'm not going to remember that every time. I'm like, can we pop that up on like the point of sale? So it's like right there. So it'll like be a trigger to be like, okay, like, yeah. So like, yeah. So they set it up, pop it up there. So then it became a competition, like who can sell the most trees. And then the text I got from the staff as I'm, in and out of the merch tent doing other things. It's HP. Where are we at with the tree count? Where are we at with the tree count? How are we in relation to all the other events. Can you get their number so we can try to beat it? And it's like, oh, I just sold 4 trees to a lady. Oh, I just sold new record is 6 trees now. Like, it just became this whole, like you said, the mundane of just people walking in through the line getting 5 shirts. He had to create some other trigger things to kind of keep everybody fresh and going, and that was another item that we did. It was a tree count.
We actually framed Ted Rogers as we made him buy 4 trees, and then his daughter comes in and says, "Well, your father holds the record now for most trees bought." Just, well, I'll buy 5.
Nice.
All the same account.
Did you buy any trees, Brad, this week?
I did not buy any trees, but I will tell you one of my favorite things about merchandise tents is when people come in and they kind of look around and they go, "Where are all the golf clubs?" It's always one of my favorite in merchandise tents. Where are the clubs? And people are like, "Oh, it's 70 and cool in here. It's 95 degrees outside." I just, do you have like a wedge I could swing or a putter, or you got any woods for me? Like, it's one of my favorites of merchandise tents. But the guy, and he's in the tent, he's cooling off. He's got the girlfriend he's on a date with, and he starts like showing his swing a little bit, and he's like, "Hey, you got a driver I could swing, or kind of anything laying around?"
No, my favorite is the guy that when the product doesn't scan and you got to scan it 3 times. Well, if you can't scan it, it's free, right? Oh, dear Lord.
Okay, so
we all know that guy,
Branny, and I'll let you, dive into this as well. Top 2 or 3 items, I'll say, when somebody walked in that they asked for that we knew we didn't have, but it kept reoccurring. One was socks. We had that a handful of times.
We had a gentleman come in. Adam, you were there for this.
Yeah.
He had his socks in his pocket and they fell out. So he needed socks.
He goes, "Are you guys selling socks?" I'm like, "No, unfortunately we aren't doing socks." He's like, "I had mine in my pocket, but they fell out." And I'm like, and he's wearing tennis shoes. And I'm like, "Okay, so you had socks in your pocket. Why weren't they originally like on your feet?" And then like, okay, so you lost them. Like, then the second one, so the socks was one. The second question I felt like we got a lot was, is the golf shop open?
Oh God!
Like, is the golf shop in the clubhouse? Is there other stuff in there we can go get? And maybe I'm just oblivious because we run the operation and we clearly know that there's no access to the clubhouse for the tour. Like, clearly people are just, why wouldn't the clubhouse be open? Like, we're at a golf course and it's golfing. Like, why wouldn't the clubhouse
if you want to have dinner with the caddies, you can go in the golf shop, but it's probably not going to go over real well. So
right.
No, there's a lot of great questions. And again, a lot of it, for the 3 of us, we've been around this so much. So it all seems like we know the answers, but a lot of times people don't know the answers. So they ask a question and, it's funny how it goes. My favorite one always though has been the golf club thing. Hey, where are the sticks? Can I grab some irons? Like, you're not going to buy golf clubs right now. Like, you're just trying to, you're trying to show off. This is your 3rd date with this gal. Like, what are we doing here, right?
Yeah, right.
And I just laugh. But a good time to remind people that if they are looking for new golf clubs, our show is sponsored by PXG, Parsons Extreme Golf. They have an awesome new store in Southdale. So you don't need to go out to the 3M Open Fan Shop. You go to the PXG store in Southdale. Go check out their clubs today. They've got anywhere from Gen 1 through Gen 4 still available. Irons, wedges, putters, drivers, you name it. A little bit of everything, and they've got a great staff working there that can help fit you for whatever you need. And they do have a really fun fitting experience. So go check it out. PXG in Southdale. So guys, as we transition kind of out of the merchandise tent and talk about the golf tournament, how about Cam Champ? That was some performance. If you would have told me at the beginning of the week that 15 under would have won the event, I would have said, well, geez, Brandy would have finally got the win that he's been asking for the last few years. So the win was a factor this week, which, when they built this golf course, that was the whole plan, right? There's supposed to be wind. And I was really impressed with how it handled this week. Obviously, some of the best players in the world really struggled with it. Including world number 1, who Dustin Johnson, who happened to miss the cut. But, to me, I thought the course really showed its teeth. It did everything it needed to do to show that this thing it's a really good golf course. And hole 18, we could literally spend an entire hour just talking about hole 18. I mean, how about the way 18 played? I don't know. I don't know what direction you guys want to go with this, but Cam Champ, incredible win. And some quick stats on Cam Champ. He has 7 top 10s in 3 years on tour, and 3 of those are wins. So can you say closer? I mean, this guy gets it. If he does somehow get in the hunt, he's closing it. Whereas I think Louis got about 10 top 10s this win, or Louis has 10 top 10s this year, excuse me. And he hasn't won in 11 years on tour and has never won in America. So right. Cam Champ, a real closer. What'd you think, Adam, about the golf you saw?
No, just to kind of echo your sentiments there, like fantastic finish. Cam Champ is a great champion. Obviously played a really good weekend. If you look at his Saturday and Sunday, played extremely solid all week, but Saturday and Sunday when it becomes kind of winning time. He obviously had a little bit of a hiccup off 18T, which I think if you look back at a lot of the guys, left is obviously the place to miss, which isn't an easy spot to come out of. But he clearly handled himself extremely well and hit just a clutch 4th shot. I mean, we saw guys hitting that shot into the water Saturday and Sunday. So great champ. He obviously was dealing with more than just the golf. It sounded like he was dealing with a little bit of exhaustion and stuff. Had a Gatorade and some water. It sounded like I'd heard kind of middle of the round and kind of kicked him back into gear. So, but to echo off your sentiments, yeah, the golf course played extremely difficult with the wind, which is what we were all kind of hoping for. Those of you that listen and live up in Blaine, it's extremely windy up here, so our members see that on the daily. And it felt like every year, the seniors before this and now the first few years that we've had the 3M Open, the wind just dies down and the guys just kind of eat it up. And the golf course was getting this, well, it's just a pitch and putt. These guys just go deep, for 4 rounds, and it's not a true test of golf. So was happy to kind of see them struggle a little bit, I guess, and just kind of watch our golf course flourish a little bit. I want to give a shout out to Mark Mahalski, our golf course agronomist on his team. They had that place just in perfect condition. The greens were legit. Fairways were fast and firm. And I felt like we got a true test of what TPC Twin Cities can kind of be. And hopefully that kind of provides, the guys on tour when they're making their schedule for future years kind of want to come out and see this place and kind of give it a whirl for themselves. But, I'll throw it back to David. I know he's got some stats from some things, but I know a couple of the holes. 18 obviously was kind of a feast or famine hole. 9 is obviously extremely difficult from where those guys play. 500, 490 plus from the back tee. So the holes in the par 3s, which I think are extremely difficult. 17, which doesn't seem difficult. It's got water, obviously, but it was giving those guys just fits, and I think that had a lot to do with the wind, just making sure they were clubbing right, and obviously a lot of guys weren't clubbing right. But true test of golf was a great finish. Cam Champ will be a fantastic champion for us. Super happy to him. I think I saw somewhere posted on social media he's one of 3 players now with 3 wins under the age of 27. I think it's him, Colin Morikawa, and I believe John Rahm. So, and he had been struggling. He hadn't been playing well all of this year, missed a ton of cuts. And just kind of was in what sounded like a kind of a dark place, just couldn't get out of a rut, so to speak, but found some lightning in a bottle here, and hopefully that can kind of carry him on to bigger and better things. He'd be a great name for the PGA Tour, one of those young, talented guys. So great backstory, obviously, with his grandfather, unfortunately passing away a few years ago, who kind of got him into the game. His dad's his coach. So great champion for us. We're excited to kind of have him as our champion, and looking forward to 2022.
So I know there's a big difference between on the record and off the record. And unfortunately last week my pick was someone we've never heard of before. Brad put me on the spot and said, no, you have to pick someone. So I picked Harry Higgs, Brad's doppelganger.
Brad's doppelganger.
Brad's doppelganger. Thought it'd be a great pick. And actually he didn't play that bad, but he did miss the cut. I did a clinic with Greg Chalmers on Wednesday evening, and ironically, not this is any effect on anything, our conversation went to how has Cameron Champ not won more? Why? I mean, this guy's got all the talent in the world, and he came out on tour explaining like why hasn't he won more? And I now get it. If any of you listeners out there have listened to his post tournament speech and trophy acceptance, listen to it. He's been battling some stuff mentally for a while now, and he's been struggling with. And I think that was kind of the whole attitude of this week was mental health. And it's been a big topic of conversation. He's definitely in that category. So what a cool way for him to kind of come out. And I happened to be with both my kids and my parents on 18 when Champ won. It was such a cool experience to see that. So I'm super pumped that he's our champion, that we get to throw up on the tunnel next to Thompson and Wolfie. But I actually have the ShotLink stats here in front of me. I'm not going to make you guys try to guess all of this, but let's just talk about 18 for this entire tournament. How many, obviously there's no double eagles. How many eagles do you think there were?
I'm going to go with 10.
I'll say a half dozen. I'll go like 6.
26.
Jeepers, that many?
I'm not going to make you guys guess the next 3 even because they're outrageous.
Birdie, yeah, right.
Birdies 922, pars 2,479, bogeys 541, bogeys 77. Double bogeys 77. How many triple bogeys or worse do you think hole 18 had this week?
I'm going with 40.
Oof. I'll take the over. I'll take the over on that.
All right, that backfired. 23.
7.
23. But for the entire event, there were 36 triple bogeys or worse.
Okay.
And 23 of them were on hole 18. Hole 9, hands down, was the hardest hole in the golf course. It played, let's see here, .285 over par. So the only holes that played over par for the week were holes 2, 3, 7, ironically. 7 played, they played what, like 390 all week?
385, I think, something like that, yeah.
Played over par for the week.
It's a tough tee shot.
That wind is tricky, though.
Dude,
that wind and those bunkers in the water.
It's a tough tee shot from that back box.
Well, and you guys all know it was posted in, was it Golf Week months ago, and it's hanging in the locker room. It's one of the scariest holes for tour pros that they never talk about.
Yeah.
A 390 par 4, and you're worried about it?
Right. Yeah, the
That's pretty
fairway
legit.
is so tight, you can barely see it. And then if you get it in one of those bunkers, they're hitting a 70 to 40-yard bunker shot to a skinny green. Like, it's challenging.
Well, and that's one of the things I want to talk about with this golf course is how much it's changed over the last 3 years. Because if you played the TPC Twin Cities in, let's call it 2010, and you played from the member tees, and you were playing at, let's call it 6,400 yards, it was fairly firm and fast in the fairway, and it was fairly soft on the green. And you went out there and you're a 4 handicap, and you went over there and you shot 75. And you said, "Oh, this course isn't that hard." I get it. This is not the same golf course. Like, it is. The fairways have come in by at least 30%, if not more. It's so much more narrow off the tee. So much distance has been added to the golf course in spots I didn't know it could get to. I think it tipped at, 7,400? Was that correct?
Yeah, I can get to 74, yep.
About just inside 74. The fairways are soft. The greens are firm. The rough has grown up like crazy everywhere. It is just a total different golf course. And hole 18, you're now playing, like, I know guys are like, "Oh, hole 18, you just hit driver down the left side, and then you got a 6-iron in."
Yeah.
That might have been the case from the member tees back in 2015. But today, you're now playing where you've got to hit, it's a dogleg right, essentially. And guys like Gary Woodland were trying to, thread it out there on Saturday. Woodland goes right of the water. The water has been expanded. The water is almost twice the size of the hazard it used to be. I mean, it's come back so much further and down the right side. It's just such a harder shot than it ever was before. And I understand you've got grandstands you can nail it into, etc., but that didn't happen very often. And Sung Kang is a perfect example. This guy's just going about his business on Saturday, just doing his journeyman deal, right? Like, I'm 7 under, I'm going to birdie 18, I'm going to get to 8. Hopefully I shoot a few down on Sunday, and then I'll get a nice check. Guy makes a 12. 4 balls in the water on 18. Like, what just happened? And
what did he do the day before?
Birdied?
Eagled.
So he went 312 on a 570 par 5?
And then he doubled Sunday. So he's 9 over on that hole. If you take that out, he's at what? I think he finished at -1, so he'd be 10 under. So he goes to making nothing basically to a top 10. I think that would have put, or like top 15 or something.
DJ made a bogey on Friday. He needed a birdie, and he made a bogey. Hit in the middle of the lake and made bogey.
On purpose.
Eric Van Ruyen on Friday goes out, and he got to 5 under. He's doing pretty well. He's 225 out in the fairway and makes an 8, and then comes out and struggles on Saturday. He had a good finish on Sunday, but you could just see, like, it's breaking these guys to not be able to figure out this hole. And Ricky Fowler played extremely well in the first round. We were all pumped. And Saturday just fell apart on 18, made an 8. And then so you have Cam Champ there on Sunday, and this guy is hitting 3-irons like 280 on a rope, right? So you're like, why doesn't he just hit 3-iron, pitching wedge, gap wedge, and make his par? And he hits driver. He hits it over into the weeds. They've got a hole to do to move all the people. He almost chips it right into the tree. The thing missed the tree by less than probably a foot. And he chunks it out of the rough, or doesn't chunk it out, but he kind of chips it out of the rough up to 127 yards, and you're like, what is going to happen now? And then he almost makes it, and he's got a tap-in par. It was just so many crazy things. Louis almost made it. I mean, Louis lipped it out. You know, it hit the pin for Eagle to get to 14 under. And hole 18, in my opinion, is such an underrated hole. And David and I have had this conversation before, but now that it's fresh on our minds, is there a better finish on tour than 17 and 18 at TPC Twin Cities? And I don't know that there is, because there's just so much. You saw guys go 2-3, right? Make up, go 3 under, and you see guys go 5-10. It was insane.
As of this weekend, hole 18 at TPC Twin Cities is officially the hardest par 5 on the PGA Tour.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, it does. Now, with that said, let me back that up for a second. When Wolfie won in 19, and remember that? Wolfie in 19?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure you remembered that Wolfie won in 19. He hit 3 wood 6-iron and made 3.
Yeah.
But there was no wind.
No wind.
Nothing. Like you take the wind away from 18. It's not hard. I'm not gonna say it's a easy hole, but it's not a hard hole.
No.
You throw wind into that mix, and 18 is so hard. Mm-hmm. And all TPC properties. I think this is my theory. I have to dive into this to be official about it, but I think the network loves to have 17 and 18 be their grandstand holes. I mean, like you look at Sawgrass, you look at TPC Twin Cities. Not that I'm comparing those two golf courses, but they love having 17 and 18 being these romantic par 3s and 5s and 4s with water, where you can make a big number or you can make a low number. Yeah, and it's exciting for golf, so I love it.
Yeah, I would agree, and I'll even throw 16 into the mix slightly, just because of where they put it. They made it drivable, so to me, you put 16 in the mix there, you can get crazy. If you hit some quality shots down the stretch, you can make up a three shot deficit pretty quickly, which, like David said, makes for an extremely fantastic and fun finish. I was actually pleasantly surprised at how difficult 17 played. 18, I figured with the wind hopping up would play difficult, just because that fairway has become so narrow since they made the changes. And to your point, David, I'm actually a little shocked that the guys just weren't blasting it back into the grandstands. I don't know what the thought process there was. But I was shocked that there was. I believe it's the most balls in the water on one hole. It was
Correct.
It was in 2020.
Correct,
And
it was.
I'm guessing it will be this year, if not one of the top 2 or 3 holes. And correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are better at stats than I am, but I thought in 2020 was TPC Twin Cities the most balls in the water of any golf course, or it was top. Maybe that was top 2 or 3 as well.
Yeah,
We were up there.
Brad, step in if you know this, but I actually think we were the number 1 course for balls in water.
I'm almost
but
positive.
I don't have the stat.
I should know that. I'm the head golf professional there. But anyway, so there's water that comes into play in 15 of the 18 holes, and so 17 to me, from where those guys play the tee box, the back tee box, they're basically their misses that can be so wide or deep because all they're looking for is the carry number. The tee boxes that the members play where it's angled more and that green becomes more skinny, to me, is more challenging. It's a little shorter shot, but you don't have the areas to miss it. These guys now, I was just shocked at how difficult 17 played for those guys, and that could have been mostly to do with the wind, I think. And obviously, as they get...
How about that Flasic location on Sunday?
Brutal.
You're into the wind playing 200 yards. I don't know what the actual yardage was. And that thing's like 5 steps off the front and 5 steps off the left.
Yeah. Yep, that's brutal. But I will say, and I think you and I had this conversation, David, and this goes a little deeper, I guess, than your question, David, but that hole specifically, which I guess, again, surprises me at how difficult it played for these guys and how good they are and how smart they are and they know their games. Front hole locations, to me, on that hole would seem easier. You just blast it long, and if you're in the back bunker, then you've got, I shouldn't say a relatively simple bunker shot, but you can flub the chunk and run a little bit and get it down there. To me, and I think you and I drove around Thursday or Friday, David, and that back right hole location, to me, is more difficult because you're trying to carry over the water but be short of a flag stick, because if you go long in that bunker, you've got no chance of getting that up and down with the green going back towards the water. But yeah, if you look at all 4 hole locations that day, they had 2 kind of back and then 2 front. So they obviously kept the middle of the green wide open. It just played really difficult, and I think a lot of that had to do with that 15, 17 mile an hour wind that we see daily, that those guys finally saw, which they hadn't seen the previous 2 years.
Yeah, I tell you what, I was impressed overall. Very, very successful week, it seemed like, and a lot of really good things happening out there. And the announcers were saying a lot of good things about the course, about 3M. Just overall, I think it's fun seeing the course show its teeth a little bit. And I think that, Mark and team can even do more difficult things with pins going forward. I think they had some success with that this week and continue to get a little more creative. I love the variability of the golf course, moving hole 16 up. I thought was a really cool idea. It totally changed things, moving 7 around. There's just a lot of different things that they did that I think they did a good job of. And, this, obviously we know this field is not the strongest field on tour, but if you look at the leaderboard, we had a lot of fairly big names, former winners right there. You have Cam Champ wins, and a tie for second is Louis Oosthuizen, one of the hottest players in the world right now, Johnny Vegas, Charles Schwartzel. These guys have won events before. Keith Mitchell, and one of my favorite guys in the top 10, Mito Pereira, who might be a dark horse this week. He just got the Battlefield promotion, 3 wins on the Corn Ferry already this year. He might be a dark horse this week at the Olympics. Kind of a sneaky pick there. But you had guys like Pat Perez, Gary Woodland, Luke Donald, like a lot of notable names, Sergio Garcia, that were all around. Ricky Fowler, like I said, I was pretty impressed with how things turned out, and it seemed to be a pretty solid overall week. Again, pretty good leaderboard. I know that the fans were obviously looking for Troy Merritt and Matthew Wolf to do a little more. Those guys had kind of a frustrating weekend because Troy had the lead after the first day, and the Anoka County fans were going nuts that the guy from Spring Lake Park was in the mix, but didn't really finish out the way he wanted. I think he finished in 39th at 5 under. And actually Bubba was just behind him. Bubba finished at 3 under. But again, overall, pretty darn strong week at the 3M Open at TPC Twin Cities. And now we kind of transition into this next week, which I tell you what, very, very interesting to think of. So whoever made the cut this week, 13,000 was last for anyone that made the cut. You made $13,000 gross, and $13,000 after taxes and caddy and all that. Maybe you got $3,000, and maybe that's enough money to pay for your flight to Tokyo this week for the Olympics. I mean, I can't imagine going through that whole process and then all the testing. So, AC, this is crazy. I don't know how much you've been following what's gone on the last couple of days, but we had the Olympics look like they were all set, and all of a sudden now we get Bryson is out due to a positive COVID test. John Rahm is out due to a positive COVID test. And now that just happens to make Bryson being out just happens to make a little room on that USA roster for Captain America, Patrick Reed himself.
That's right. Right.
DeChambeau out, Reed in. I think got a lot of people rolling eyes on that one. But it's crazy because, the hard part is that a positive COVID test doesn't mean that you weren't vaxxed, doesn't mean a lot. It just means that you currently have it, even if you're asymptomatic. Or it could mean that you had a false positive test. Like there's just the whole thing is kind of crazy, and to think that people won't be able to play for their country because of it's kind of it's a tricky deal. But who do you guys like to win the Olympics? Like who's the player you think is going to take it? What are the countries that you think are the strongest? I personally think that Chile is like a sneaky team between Neiman and Pereira. But who do you guys like? What do you guys know about golf in Tokyo? Has anyone played golf in Tokyo? I know nothing at all, so I'm kind of interested to see the course.
I've flown through Tokyo. I've never played there. Spain's not going to win.
Yeah, I saw their replacement was like 400th or something in the world rather than second or first or wherever Rahm is. Yeah,
so I'm just going to go with that as my pick. Spain's not going to win.
Way to make a commitment there, Branny. AC, anyone you like or any countries you like, or do you know anything about, does anyone know anything about golf in Tokyo? I feel we're totally...
No.
Like AC's like, hey man, if it's out of the metro, I'm hurting.
I can see AC right now is frantically Googling Tokyo golf Olympics. What's going on?
I actually have it up on live from the Olympics here up on the TV. So I did a little recon work, looked at the golf course a little bit. It looks like something out of the Pacific Northwest, like Oregon.
Cool.
Very narrow, little bit of tree line. So I've got a dark horse that I just kind of, I shouldn't say randomly did, but I looked at kind of the players list and based on the fact that it looks like it's relatively tight, smaller greens, ball striking seems to be like it would be at a premium. I didn't look at the distance, which I probably should have, but how about Abraham Answer from Mexico?
I like it a lot.
Guy hits it on a rope. He is so consistent off the tee, hits his irons like nobody else. Doesn't hit it crazy far, but gets it out there far enough. Kind of a dark horse. Would look out for Abraham Answer from Team Mexico.
No, and I can hear Branny in the background looking up the Bovada odds of Abe Answer to win the Olympics. I'm going.
Is he
with,
even in it? I should ask that.
That's a good question. We probably should start there. I am personally, yeah, he is. He's in the field. I am going with a little different direction. And yes, Rory's in the field, and no, I'm not taking him. I'm going with the guy that looks to be the world beater right now. Anyone want to guess? The world beater?
Well,
just going to throw out the guy that just won the last major, Colin Morikawa.
Colin Morikawa. Okay.
I feel like that's a great pick right now. His ball striking is so strong. His iron play is ridiculous. And when you look at that type of course, a guy that can hit close irons seems to be the favorite. So that's the route I'm going. Branny, you got someone?
Not Spain.
You're going not Spain? Anyone else you feel good about, or are you just gonna commit to not Spain and call it?
I'm gonna commit to that, but Colin Morikawa, my God,
I'll throw out another one for you guys. How about you guys are going chalk across the board? Way to really go out on a limb. How about Cameron Smith?
I like Cam Smith. Did you guys see what he
Yeah.
got in his sideburns? He got a little AUS, a little Australia in his. Oh
See,
man, I mean,
I feel like he embraces the. I just don't know, like, and I'll say this just with you. I don't know how much the United States golf like embraces like being there. Like Kuchar, yeah, he got the bronze, and he obviously. I just don't know. I'm sure JT Morikawa, and I'm sure maybe they're focused and all that. I just feel like other countries, when it comes to golf specifically, that world stage they're put on with their country is so much more of a. It's just a bigger deal, I think, to them. That the United States is just like, it's the Olympics, it's golf. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a little bit of that mentality. So to me, I look for guys that are outside the United States, kind of really repping their country. So I'm going to throw out Abraham Answer and Cam Smith this week. Look for them to be on the podium stand at the end of the tournament.
So, so sorry, I was looking for the distance of this golf course, but it took me like 5 websites to not have it be in meters.
Oh yeah,
I can't
do that math quick.
I can't do it. So sorry if I fumbled my picks here. The meters to yards thing is just not happening. It looks like this is like 74-66.
Oh, it's deep.
Yeah.
Oh, jeepers. Does the ball fly higher when it's in Tokyo? Is it like an Arizona thing, Colorado, where the ball flies?
Well, I'm going to take another 15 minutes then to find out Tokyo elevation because I'm sure that's going to be in a different metric
a
system
name
than
we
me.
haven't mentioned yet that probably should be mentioned because if he wins, there might be some serious pandemonium. Hideki Matsuyama.
Hideki Matsuyama.
Absolutely.
That would be a
he's a
really
ball
special to get both the Masters and the Olympics in 1 year. That would be pretty darn cool.
He's already a god in Japan. He'd be it'd be a whole new level if he won a gold medal too.
And
my.
and remember he tested positive for COVID in Detroit, so he's been resting. And as we saw at the U.S. Open, watch out for the guy that's been resting because that worked out for Rahm. So this could be Hideki Matsuyama's my backup pick behind Morikawa. So we'll see how that turns out. Brandon, do we have an update on the altitude?
We do. Elevation's only 131 feet.
Oof.
Okay.
All right,
So it's playing long.
Bomber's
Yep,
paradise.
It's going to be long.
But you said it was tight, so should be. Yeah.
It just looked. It looked pretty
I've seen one picture in this Google search, and this thing looks
narrow,
freaking tight.
Narrow?
Like you missed the fairway, and it's jail.
So Johnny Miller, are you telling me that the guy that hits it the longest and the straightest and makes the most putts will probably be the guy that wins? Is that what you're saying, Johnny? Is that your expertise for the week?
That's correct, Brad.
Oh man, I love it when
That's
Johnny
great
Miller used to go out
commentating.
on a limb like that. It is just fantastic. And speaking of going out on a limb, if you are not sure what beer to drink this weekend, you've been drinking the same beer for a long time, why don't you sit down, watch a little golf from the Olympics, and have a Corona Premier. Corona Premier is Corona's new 90-calorie, 2.6 carb beer. It's very, very light. It's easy to drink. It doesn't need a lime. You can just enjoy it. It's nice and cold. Sounds like a wonderful, wonderful little treat while watching the Olympics. So Corona Premier. Abe Answer was actually sponsored by Corona Premier when they first came out, and he's told me at the at Kiwa that he's kind of enjoyed being able to throw a different sponsor on the sleeve every week or the
Little
chest.
Dos
Or
Equis,
he goes, I'll sell it out. And he goes, money's money, man. He goes, I'll rep anyone. So I appreciate that, and I know that you guys like Abe Answer this week, so that's kind of fun. The Olympics, again, it's so different. But the last time it happened, it was a really fun event. It was cool to watch. So I think it should be pretty good. Do you guys care, or are you not going to watch, or what do you think? Because there's no other golf on this week. I mean, are you guys going to dial in, or what's your interest level?
I'm probably about a 5 out of 10. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I feel like golf is so it's back into the Olympics, which for us golf fans, we love it. I just feel like I've watched the Olympics for so many years without golf that when I hear the Olympics, I immediately think of swimming, diving, track and field. I think of all these other things that, and golf just hasn't quite gotten to that. Oh yes, golf is part of the Olympics type of thing yet. The golf nut in me shouldn't say that, but I'll tune in. I'll tune in if it becomes, if we get some household names up there, if we get, some guy from Thailand and some guy from France that I've never heard of, probably not. But, I hope that it continues in the Olympics and it becomes continually bigger. Obviously, the first one was really good with, who do we have? Justin Rose, Kuchar, and Henrik Stenson, I believe, took silver. So that was a huge step, I think, in getting golf, jumped off the diving board, so to speak, for the Olympics and getting it back into golf back into the Olympics. So hopefully it's a great finish. Hopefully, Team USA does really well. Xander and JT and Patrick Reed and is it 4 guys? I should know this.
Is it Shoffley?
Did I say Xander already?
Xander,
JT, Patrick Reed.
Morikawa.
Sorry, Colin. Should remember that one. So hopefully they do well. Obviously rooting them on, but if some of those USA guys are up there, I'll definitely tune in for sure.
So Branny, which joke was cornier? Adam Chandler saying, talking about golf at the Olympics, diving in. Was that cornier, or Frank Nobilo on 18 saying that 3M makes all these great products and Post-it notes are so great, and Dottie was just talking about Post-it notes and he goes, speaking of Post-it notes, I sure hope that this 3M Open sticks around on tour. And you could actually hear Dottie's eyes roll through the.
I love it. There's nothing better than a corny joke on live television or live radio.
It was awkward, and the other guy they had filling in this weekend, I can't remember, Andrew something. I think it was.
Yeah. Yep.
He was even belly aching on that one, so pretty good. You got to throw some corny dad jokes in there. Frank does it with the best of them, and obviously Adam Chandler has been working on his game as well. So I hope that golf dives into the pool as well with the rest of the sports this weekend. That was great, Adam. Go ahead, Frank.
I actually did not hear that from Nopolo. That's the first time I've heard that.
I didn't either. So I haven't had a chance to take a deep breath yet, and I've taped all the cast, so I got to go back and watch it. So I'll definitely look for that one.
I've taped every round, and I've had every intention. I get home and I'm gonna watch what happened today, and then I'm out on the couch by 15 minutes.
14-hour days will do that to you, David.
Yeah, well, that's life in the merch tent, man. You get in a weird place.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and plus when you do clinics Monday through Wednesday when you're not supposed to, that'll also throw some make
for sure. Before we wrap up, I did want to quickly note we talked about the state open was last week, and Derek Hitchner from Pepperdine lost in a playoff. This week he comes back and wins, shoots 15 under at Rush Creek for 3 days and wins the state am going away. Pretty impressive stuff from Hitch. And again, I can't say enough about the AMs in this state. I mean, we've had just an influx of unbelievable high school and college kids that are just really playing some great golf. So it'll be fun to see where these guys go, as they get a little bit older and if they end up making it to mini tours. Because I'll be very honestly, Troy Merritt's made it out there for almost 15 years now, 12 years, something like that. And Troy, I played against him in high school. He was the number 3 man at Spring Lake Park. He didn't get recruited to play college golf, and he played at Winona, and all of a sudden spent a summer at his aunt and uncle's place at Boise and said, hey guys, I'm going to transfer to Boise State. And right before he transferred, he shot 68 in every tournament here. And all of a sudden now he went out, he won Q School, and he's been out there for 12 years. So we have so much more talent now in Minnesota than we did then. I got to think we've got more guys coming on tour here soon. So it's really cool to see everything that our our golf professionals, our teachers are doing to get people playing. And even though we have such a short season here, people are really taking advantage of all the different year-round options that we have. So pretty cool stuff. Again, 15 under at the State Am. Are you kidding me? Like, it's I was even talking to Van Rooyen about that this week, as he won the State Am back when he was in college. And he goes, dude, they just keep getting better. And that's it's pretty cool to see.
Hey, Adam, did you happen to catch this when we're on the 18th green on Sunday? Speaking of State Am, State Opens, and all of this, she almost announced the U.S. Open winner.
Yeah. Chantel McCabe or whatever her name is.
Yeah,
Nice.
She almost announced the U.S. Open winner on 18 at the Threem Open.
Well, I'm sure maybe he will win the U.S. Open. Wouldn't that be something?
I mean,
Maybe
the guy, he has ice in the veins. He was going through a total disaster on hole 18 and still almost made birdie. Like, that was, guy has got ice in the veins. And so to wrap up here this week, we do want to talk about some local businesses that we supported. And I actually, I played in a Gopher Sports Property scramble this last week. And I got to play with some folks from Old Dutch that are actually members at TPC, and we got to try a new chip. So Old Dutch, right out of Roseville, has a buffalo mac and cheese potato chip that just try it. And if you don't like it, I'll buy you a bag, because it was that good. I was thoroughly impressed. So Old Dutch.
Wait a second. Buffalo mac and cheese chip?
Yeah. It was sneaky good. The right amount of spice. I like to know the spice is there, but I don't want to be uncomfortable. That's my spice feeling.
Boy.
And they're actually talking about potentially changing the name of the chip, because the people like the buffalo mac and cheese just sounds a little too spicy, but it was incredible. So try it out. Old Dutch buffalo mac and cheese. Brandon, you got any local businesses you want to talk about?
Yeah, I've actually got two for this week. Red Savoy's Pizza they had a food truck out on the 18th hole here at the TPC Twin Cities for the Threem Open. They made a breakfast sandwich, and I don't think this is on their regular menu yet. They made it for the Threem Open. They made a breakfast sandwich that's to kill for. So if anyone from Red Savoy's is listening, you need to make this a part of your menu, because this is the greatest slice of pizza I've ever had. Like, forever.
I saw people eating it. It looked awesome.
It's unbelievable. They had like gravy instead of the red sauce, and it was a thick gravy. Oh my gosh, this thing was amazing. Ryan McDonald kind of threw me onto this, and I was like, dude, you're going to give me a heart attack by the end of the week, because this was Thursday when I had it. Aside from that, I was down in Dinkytown today. Tony's Diner off of 4th Street by the University of Minnesota. Fantastic. Small little place, small little diner. I had a great ham and cheese sandwich today. They're just looking forward to getting some students back to get some business.
I like it. AC, any local places that you tried any products from, or any local businesses that you want to give a shout out to for people to go try?
Yeah, so new to the area, up in Blaine here, about a year and a half in. We dined at a fine establishment last night, the team, after a long week. But Bricks, I believe it's Bricks Pub and Restaurant, or Bricks, we'll just call it. Tried their corn dip brandy that we did.
Ooh, yeah, that was good.
Their corn dip, it's like a cheese corn dip or something, and spectacular. So shout out to Bricks in Blaine here, right across from the TPC Twin Cities, right next to the Blaine Soccer Complex.
That's awesome. And one thing I did want to note too, the 3M Open, obviously, the event went well, but there's so many people that make this whole thing work, between the 3M Open, TPC Twin Cities, the members giving up the course, the long hours you guys are working. So kudos to everybody that made that happen. And I had several friends text me, I don't know if I've ever seen a better shuttle service and parking situation to any major sporting event. That was all time. I had
That's what I heard.
I had parked in different places and different days, and every time it was super, super smooth. And the drivers were great. The buses were fantastic. The speed was all top notch. And so I think a lot of that stuff kind of gets forgotten, but it really makes the tournament. And you guys know, like, if parking's a hassle, sometimes you just don't go to things.
Right.
And I thought the team did a really good job with all that. So, again, a lot of patting ourselves on the back, but whoever was involved in the logistics and all that transportation stuff, way to go, because that really made it a very easy experience for the fans to come out. So, Adam, we can't thank you enough for being our guest after the brutal week you put in, and to be on the show. I know we're keeping you up past your bedtime, but thanks so much for being on the show and all of your great input and intel. And we'd also like to thank our sponsors, Jarrett Yalen with Northwestern Mutual, PXG, the Meadows at Mystic Lake, and Corona Premier. You can connect with us, as always, via email at 10kswings@scorenorth.com. Please subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Score North, and give us a 5-star rating. For episode 23 next week, we will have Jeff Kaiser on to discuss the Olympics. Until next week, friends, I'm Brad Cole.
And Brandy here signing off.